This is Garis, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of Masculism and MGTOW. Written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 504, part 2, entitled Masculist Political Solutions to Women's Decades-Lasting Gender Crimes Against Men. Carrying straight on. So to the Masculist solution. The Masculists want parliaments to pass a law that makes paternity testing at birth for all births obligatory. That is, obligatory paternity testing at birth. That's OPTAB, OPTAB. If it turns out that the husband is not the father, then he may sue his wife for paternity fraud if he can make out a case. Technology should be able to determine whether he is the father quite early in the pregnancy so that he can decide to reject it if he wants. Most men do not want to pay for some other man's kid, and since it is clear that the mother, his wife, has cheated on him, he will probably just divorce her, so that if she continues with the pregnancy, then since we will be living in a FIP society, she will be able to afford to raise the kid on her own after the divorce. Another important piece of legislation that would be needed here is what the Masculists call the PARER, that's P-A-R-E-R, that is paternity rejection right, so that the husband is not obliged by law to pay for a kid for decades that is not even his. More will be said about the PARER in the next topic. With OPTAB, that's obligatory paternity testing at birth, OPTAB, women will not dare lie to their husbands that the kid she has inside her from another man's sperm is his. If her husband can make out a case that she has lied to him consciously, deliberately, then he can prosecute her, sending her to jail for a massive gender crime against a man, her husband, because she is expecting him to pay for the kid for decades of his life, thus manslaving him for decades. A major gender crime that deserves major punishment commensurate with the seriousness of the crime. With a legislated OPTAB, the incidence of paternity fraud should go down significantly, thus liberating millions of men from being forced to pay for decades for a kid that is not even his. 3. Women's pill lying. Millions of women lie to their boyfriends / husbands / partners that they are taking the pill, but quietly want to get pregnant, especially if they are in their mid-30s and their biological clocks are ticking hard. Get pregnant, then by law force him to pay for a kid he doesn't want, thus again manslaving him for decades. Another major gender crime that women commit against men that needs a masculist solution. Pill lying is a major crime that should be punished severely, since the criminal woman is expecting a man to spend decades of his life working to pay for that kid. This makes such a woman truly hated by the Masculists. So Masculists are out to create legislation that the husband can use to severely punish the mother. This legislation takes the form of the PARER mentioned above, that is paternity rejection right. That is the male equivalent of women's MARA, that's maternity rejection right, that women have had since the 70s in many countries, commonly known as the abortion right, that is the legislated right of a woman to reject an unwanted pregnancy. The fact that women have the MARA, but men don't have the PARER, is the most blatant form of sexual discrimination that exists, and it's not against women but against men, and an obvious candidate for Masculist legislative reform. The legislation of the PARER and the creation of a FIP Society go hand in hand. With nearly all women FIPs, then the legislation of the PARER becomes easier, since if a man rejects an unwanted pregnancy, in brackets, by filling in a government paternity rejection form, and the mother wants to continue with the pregnancy, then she takes full financial responsibility for the cost of the kid, now her kid. Compulsory payment for the kid by the father is one of the major ways that women oppress men, again, for decades of his life. Masculists see that the creation of a FIP society will be the great enabler of the para, which is why Masculist theorists place such emphasis on the importance of the creation of a FIP society. It's all very well to promote Masculist style, the above new Masculist laws, that is the OPTAB, that's obligatory,